What is going on, everybody? It is me again. It's HorrorFan34, and welcome to another video. And welcome to another random video. I figured I would, for these kind of videos, I figured I'd do these like kind of just randomly. But I figured I came up with an idea for a video, and I figured like, why don't I like pick a year, like any random year, go through my collection and see which films I have of that particular year. So I figured for the first one of this series of videos, and I'll post one like every so often, no year in particular in order, but just randomly. And I figured why not go with 1997 for my first one. So these are the films of 1997 that I own in my collection. So I hope you guys stay tuned. I don't know if I'm going to split this into two parts or something like that, but I like to talk some stuff about these movies and things like that. Once again, my throat is really dry. But without further ado, let's get on to the movies that I have from 1997. So, I actually have 39 titles from the year 1997. So, let's get to it. And actually, what I did was for these movies, they're all in order that they are on Wikipedia. Because what I do is I go on Wikipedia, go to the year of the films that came out that year, and click on one of the things on the Wikipedia page, and it gives you the list of films that came out from January all the way to December. So I went in order of what these films came out in which months. So, the first one I have here from 1997 is The Relic. Underrated creature feature film that I've always loved. I like the idea of it being in a museum. And I really like Penelope Ann Miller and Tom Sizemore. Directed by Peter Hyams, who I'm a huge fan of as a director. Time Cop, Sudden Death, End of Days, Stay Tuned with John Ritter, 2010, Narrow Margin with Gene Hackman. I mean, just a really solid director. And this one is another good one. Man, my throat is dry. But, underrated creature feature flick, The Relic. Next one here is Turbulence. People probably don't even know what Turbulence is. I know this was a big bomb at the box office, I'll tell you that. It cost like a little over $50 million, and it made $11 million worldwide, so it was definitely a big flop. But I enjoyed this film. It's kind of like a Die Hard situation on a plane, where you have these two. You have Ray Liotta, of course, is being transferred on a commercial flight because he was arrested for being a serial killer, and he's on this commercial flight being transferred, being guarded by like these four, I guess like National Guards. And at the same time, you have another criminal on there, played by, yeah, if I can talk right, played by Brendan Gleeson. I was thinking of him as the sheriff from Lake Placid and a lot of other stuff. Him and Ray Liotta escape, and they take the plane hostage, and they kill some people, and they hijack the plane, and they take hostages. And Lauren Holly is your female hero from Dumb and Dumber. You also have people like Hector Elizondo, Heidi Kling, who was in the Mighty Ducks films as Charlie's mom, is one of the people in this. I always thought this was a solid flick, Turbulence. I don't know why it bombed at the box office. I think it's a solid movie. Next one here is Metro with Eddie Murphy. A very, very underrated Eddie Murphy film. Really funny. I kind of think of it as more of the better version of Beverly Hills Cop 3. I think Eddie Murphy does a great job. You also have Michael Rappaport, Michael Wincott. Very funny, lots of nice action set pieces and things like that. Metro. Underrated Eddie Murphy film. Very funny flick. Meet Wally Sparks with Ronnie Dangerfield. Just a crazy R-rated comedy. Ronnie Dangerfield's always a pleasure seeing Ronnie Dangerfield. I think he's always really funny. You also have people like Debbie Mazur, Burt Reynolds, the late great Burt Reynolds. Not really a Ronnie Dangerfield film that gets brought up much on like things like Caddyshack or things like that. It's still a fun watch. Dante's Peak, one of my personal favorite Pierce Brosnan films, also as Linda Hamilton, directed by Roger Donaldson, who did, I think, Cadillac Man with Robin Williams. Really great disaster flick. I mean, what more can you say about Dante's Peak that has not been said before? It's a classic Pierce Brosnan film. That Darn Cat, pretty decent Disney movie. Christina Ricci and Dougie Doug. You also have George DeSunda, who was in Law and Order. Yeah, Peter Boyle, the Frankenstein monster himself from Young Frankenstein. Michael McKean plays Christina Ricci's dad. Michael McKean, of course, from Laverne and Shirley. He was the state trooper in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles when he pulls over John Candy and Steve Martin when they're driving the burned car. Of course, he was the kind of like the villain asshole boss in Airheads. Bess Armstrong, I think from Jaws 3, is Christina Ricci's mom. Yeah, this is a pretty decent flick. I know it's a remake, I think, from the 50s version. I actually never saw the original, That Darn Cat, so I can't really comment about what it's like compared to the original. But I think it's a pretty decent flick. And I'm a Christina Ricci fan, so I'm trying to collect more of her stuff. I have like like that film and Casper, a lot of other stuff. Leprechaun 4 in Space, the cheesiest of the Leprechaun films. I mean, the whole idea of him being in space is just insane. But I think it's fun cheese. It's not a great movie, but I think it's a guilty pleasure. Donnie Brasco, excellent film with Al Pacino and Johnny Depp. You also have Michael Madsen, Bruno Kirby from City Slickers, Anne Heche, James Russo. Very solid movie. Hard 8. Another solid flick. Well, even though this is 1996, it was released in 1997. But really good cast. John C. Reilly, Gwyneth Paltrow, Philip Baker Hall, Sam Jackson. Directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, who did, I think, Punch Drunk Love, and not really an easy movie to explain. It's about like casinos and that kind of like thing. Not really an easy film to explain, but it's a very well done flick. Chasing Amy, I think one of Kevin Smith's best films. One of the most best like well written films. Pretty interesting idea. I mean, Ben Affleck. I think the chemistry between Ben Affleck and Joey Lauren Adams is great. You have Jason Lee in the film. You know, I mean, if you're a big Kevin Smith fan, you already know about Chasing Amy. Very, very, very solid movie. Double Team with Jean-Claude Van Damme, Dennis Rodman. Pretty batshit insane movie. I don't know. Dennis Rodman is not bad, but I wouldn't really say he's my first choice to be the partner. Kind of prefer somebody else other than Dennis Rodman. But Mickey Rourke is a lot of fun as the villain. Pretty insane movie. Double Team. Anaconda. I say one of my favorite creature feature movies. Jennifer Lopez, Ice Cube, John Voight, Eric Stoltz. You also have Carrie Wooer, Jonathan Hyde, Owen Wilson. I almost forgot Owen Wilson was in this. Yeah, the CGI effects on the snake don't really hold up well today, but I still think it's an entertaining creature movie, and I like the setting in the sort of Amazon jungle. Eight Heads in a Duffel Bag. This is a really fun, dark comedy with Joe Pesci. You also have David Spade, Christy Swanson, George Hamilton, Diane Cannon. Pretty funny idea where Joe Pesci plays a hitman, and this duffel bag that he has to bring to this mob guy has 8 heads in it, and his bag gets switched with this guy who's visiting his girlfriend and her parents. And he has to try to get the bag back, trying to get answers out of the guy's 2 buddies, one of them David Spade. And I tell you, Joe Pesci and David Spade have terrific chemistry with each other. So, really fun movie, 8 Heads in a Duffel Bag. Murder at 1600, one of my personal favorite Wesley Snipes films, dealing with a murder at the White House. Directed by Dwight H. Little. Man, I'm losing my voice. Who did Halloween 4, Rapid Fire, Marked for Death with Steven Seagal. Really good cast in here as well. Diane Lane, Alan Alda, Ronnie Cox from Total Recall. You have Dennis Miller from Bordello of Blood. Actually, I'll put that over there. Volcano. Really fun disaster movie with Tommy Lee Jones. You also have Don Cheadle and Heche. Keith David. I always forgot Keith David was in this from John Carpenter's The Thing. You also have Gabby Hoffman, who was one of the kids in Uncle Buck. But a really fun disaster film. Yeah, it's unrealistic about a volcano in Los Angeles. But it's fun, though. It's still a fun movie. I kind of wish Sci-Fi Channel movies nowadays were like Volcano. They should take notes on things like Volcano nowadays. Hold this up for Austin Powers International Man of Mystery, because that was 1997. I mean, I love all 3 of the Austin Powers films. I'd probably say the second one's my favorite, because that was actually the first one I saw on tape. But the first one's a classic, you know. A lot of really great lines, especially when he's in the hot tub and he farts and the bubbles pop up, and she says to him, you know, how dare you break wind before me? And then he's like, I'm sorry, baby, I didn't know it was your turn. So, a lot of really fun lines, and Mike Myers just plays Austin Powers down to a T. It's like a parody on, like, you know, those, like, James Bond spy movies, and done in a comedy form. Breakdown, one of my personal favorite Kurt Russell films. You also have J.T. Walsh, Kathleen Quinlan. A great movie, Breakdown. I'm actually going to stop after this one, because I'm done the first pile after this one. Then I'm going to get to the second pile in part 2. The last one I'll show for the first part is The Fifth Element. Love this movie. I think it's very creative. Love the visuals. Bruce Willis, Gary Oldman, Ian Holm, Mila Jovovich, Chris Tucker. Fifth Element, solid movie. Alright, so I'm going to cut here, and I'll see you guys in part 2.